everyone. How's it going today? Doing good?
Good
Good
for
over
my
here.
Yeah, it's so good to see you all. Well, I'm pretty excited about our conversation today because we're going to talk about navigating career uncertainty. Um, so, for those who don't know me out there, I'm Susan Minaya. I'm an executive coach, and I really have a special focus on organizational training leaders, is where I really like to coach. But I'm joined today by this incredible group of my coaching colleagues that I'd really like for you to meet. And so, before we really get started, I want to just take a moment. So, could each of you just share your name? Where do you like to focus on your coaching? And maybe one word that describes how you like to approach change. We can start with Husna.
Hey Susan, hi the group out there. So basically, I'm Hosna. I'm from Detroit, Michigan. Susan threw a very good question saying that what is coaching? Coaching is executive leadership coaching for me. It's like myself as a person, as an individual, which has brought in so much awareness, curiosity, and I would say something what is a beautiful change. And the next question, which connects to Susan, saying that what has changed to me, change is about myself as a woman, wherein I was a little child to what I am today. The growth spurt from being a daughter to a sibling to a wife, to a friend, to a colleague, and to the leader I am. And the most beautiful part of change in my life is my voice. And I will resonate all my whole entire leadership to that. And that's changed to me. Thank you, Susan.
Thank you, Husna. So glad that you could be here today. How about you, Debbie?
Yeah, thanks, Susan. I'm Debbie Schuhart. I am in New Jersey. I'm a healthcare executive and coach. Part of what I think is so important for leaders and where I like to focus is around courage. It's really important for leaders to demonstrate courage, and that takes on many facets. So I really enjoy exploring with people what their courage is and how to find it.
That's great. And then how about you, Tiffany?
Hey, Susan and
Hey.
group. Thanks for having me on today. So, I'm an executive coach and founder of Sunstone Leadership Group. I'm out of San Diego, California. And my background is just really deep roots in HR and business leadership. And where I like to focus my coaching is with business owners and leaders on building self awareness, clarifying strategy, and creating structure, both in their business and their life to support them so they can lead more effectively and grow with intention. Um, a word for change for me is just being open to all the possibilities. I think you don't know what you don't know. And so as you go through coaching, you learn a lot that was never even a thought before. And so really being open to all the possibilities in the world is what change means to me.
Possibilities. Thank you, Tiffany. That's great. How about you, Cindy? Bring it home for us.
Hi, Susan. Hello, everyone. I'm Cindy Cohen. I'm an executive coach based out of San Francisco, California. I primarily work with biopharma leaders and life science founders. As you guys know, change is really our constant. To me, the way I approach change is with intention.
Wonderful. So we've had some pretty powerful words about change. And I think tonight, thank you so much for all of you really for taking time to share about yourself and where your focus is on coaching and then what you care about and think about when you think about change. So all of us have really been talking for probably the last month, I think, about what it means to lose a job. Because I think as we're seeing, we have so much that's going on out there today in unprecedented ways, right? So for example, government restructuring. We have the rise of AI, to name just a few. Those are monumental that are impacting people and jobs today. And, I think for all of us, we'd agree, and we've talked about this, that it's really a time of rapid disruption out there in the workforce. But as we've discussed, and I think Tiffany brought up, it's also a great opportunity, right? So I'd like to explore a little bit this evening while we're talking together and hear your point of view and strategies and insights as coaches that you do on this topic. And then how can you help individuals out there who are struggling right now, truly, to redefine themselves in the world of work? So you want to get started and dive right in?
Do it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I, I think the first place I want to start is on the emotional side of job loss, right? Because when people lose a job, a lot of times it's about our identity that gets severely impacted. And whether it's from government downsizing or technological shift, the impact runs so deep. So I think the first thing I kind of wanted to throw out to you all, like, what are some of the most common emotional responses that you see with clients who've lost their job? And how do you help them name it so that they can actually navigate those feelings? And I think, Kusna, you've been the one who's really been very vocal about this and very active also in helping some of the government employees kind of redefine themselves in the work world.
Definitely, Susan, it was definitely not an easy thing when these people come across to coaching, and that when have been referred, they do not know anything about what's coaching all about, and getting to understand that. And basically, what I see from them is a lot of emotional turmoil, the insecure feeling, the fear of having so many other obstacles in the life besides whatever the job loss, whatever they have. So from the coaching perspective, what I have to do is a balance those emotions, the hardship what they go through in terms of insurance, what's going to happen to our life, health insurance, which is the biggest key here. And second thing is, oh, our kids are they're yet studying, they're yet graduating. We have to pay for the loans. That comes the next problem. And third thing is, okay, if you pay off, what do we have? We have to break those securities. What do we have planned for our retirement? That's another part of it. So kind of, it's not easy when a person's comes with so much of mixed emotions. Some people start crying, and you can't, as a person, that comes in first, the comfort. You really can't change the job of coaching. You really want to go give them a hug, appreciate whatever they are. So I start with that thing, saying that what are the biggest thing that you appreciate in life? Losing a job is something different, but what is that you have that you appreciate? So we go back on that emotional part, saying that, oh, I have a family to take care of. I have some friends who can really help me in this journey. So that's the very first thing which I address. And second thing is, I would always like to go back and tap into those things that they always wanted to do in their life and they couldn't do it. For instance, like when we have financial responsibilities, personal, professional, we're all stuck in that zone of responsibilities and making money, or maybe making a career in that journey wherein we have to establish ourselves, however we start afresh, or whether you are at a very senior level. We have to really keep on proving ourselves. But in that lane, we forget to live our own dreams, what we have. So I would love to go back, because what happens is that way I'm calming down their emotion and yet opening something which they never thought that they can open up into. Maybe photography, maybe gardening itself, because I love gardening myself. Because going back and showing them that path, because I have seen some people, starting business with the little money plant, the money, propagating the money plant and starting something of the business of their own. So we have to go back and ask them what passion they had that they really wanted to relive. One of a friend, Debbie, she bakes real good cookies. I always tell her, business coaching is something which I wanted to try. I always tell her till she approves of it. But yeah, that's one piece which I love to tap into those people who come in. What else can be done? And then sometimes, when they go back thinking about loaning, going to the bank, going to the process of getting the loan, and who's going to give them, how they're going to pay back, all of that. What I would say is, it's a group of people. Is there a possibility when you're a group of people together coming from a different yet similar background, for example, a techie background, a HR background, a corporate background, manufacturing, can you people join together and establish a small little things together and see if you can. I was telling my husband, because he's an IT, he's starting something on his own, and I come from a HR background. We never thought we are going to cross lanes together anytime, because we always kept the boundary. Today I came up with something. I said, can we do this? Can I really do leadership development and coaching, and you do some kind of a training and development for those digital transformation companies who really want to do something? That's like awesome kind of an idea. I said, this is something what I show it to my clients. So here there's a balance of emotion to begin with. And second is to show them where they are, what they can really do, something which they didn't tap into. And third thing is, can we establish something ourselves together and make it real? Why we rely on loaning? Why do we rely on banks? Why do we go back and look at somebody else who could do all of those things for us? Can we really? So I do kind of a team coaching together, and that becomes awesome. I have seen people blessing me. Yeah, and then it all started with like pro bono coaching, where they really said, Hosna, can we talk to you? Can we call you anytime we need help? I said, always open. Anytime you feel that you need to talk to me, if you really feel that you're stuck somewhere, my doors are always open to, so that you can come back and we do some more coaching. Don't worry about it. It's not about payment. It's not about anything that you have to pay back. All I need you is to put me in your prayers anytime you pray. I'm just like a little daughter or anything, granddaughter, dad, or daughter, whatever you want to consider. Keep that and keep on going. That's the place I feel is a part wherever, whatever question you ask me for, Susan. I
Yeah.
simply
No,
love this piece.
I think I can tell, and your passion comes through. And I think you really started touching on something I wanted to. I know Debbie's talked a lot about this before too, about identity shift. I mean, you were saying here we are, we're in IT, or now we're this or that, but so much of our identities are wrapped in our jobs. So, Debbie, how do you help people with that identity shift?
Yeah, that is a difficult part of this, and it's all about the transition, which I think is helping people really focus on what's important to them and kind of stripping away all of what's been on the outside for however long they've been in that job. And I have some personal experience on my own with this, and it really takes kind of, I want to say, tearing down in a very gentle way before building back up. And when you dissolve or tear something down yourself, it's a little bit different than if somebody does it to you or for you. And it, in a way, gives you back control. And so then you can, when you get to sort of that base, kind of move forward and say, all right, well, what's really important to me is my family or my children. Or I've always wanted, to Husna's point, open a bake shop or, paint or whatever that might be. Or I really wanted to try my hand at being an entrepreneur, or I really feel like I can be most successful in an organization. What kind of skills do I want to put out there? What kind of organization do I want to be part of? Where do I feel I can make the biggest difference? And so I think it's a little bit about stripping down and then building back up.
Back up. That's really insightful, Debbie. And it's it's like if you think about it, especially a lot of the government workers in particular that we brought up, that we've been talking about, so many that have been laid off, and those are individuals who've been in job roles for like 30 years, 40 years. They're career government people, and that identity piece is super embedded in them, and maybe even haven't had to really go out and apply for jobs because they've always been within their system, if you will, and just kind of moved from one place to another. So Tiffany, I'm curious because you mentioned opportunities. So kind of like what's one reframe or mindset shift that you might do to help clients move from maybe what feels like despair and hopelessness to maybe a more positive direction?
Yeah, it's a reframe around this isn't happening to you, it's happening for you. The
Yeah.
universe is opening up, and once you get past the emotions, you work through your identity, really understanding who you are, what your values are, what drives you, what's important to you, then it's just a world of possibilities. I mean, when you sit with people in coaching, and switch it to that positive mindset of this is happening for you, they start opening doors to things maybe they've been ignoring. Perhaps it's misalignments in their role, they haven't been honoring their values, or maybe they didn't really like the way they were showing up in their career, in their life, or as a parent, or whatever impact they've been having that they really haven't been that thrilled with, but they just hadn't, there was no catalyst for change. And so now this shift in mindset gives them permission to be okay with saying, these are the parts of that position or opportunity that weren't really working for me. And I want to be really intentional about where I go next so that they're not just chasing the next thing. They're feeling really safe so they can start building something that actually fits for them. So I really see it as a beautiful opportunity. I know it hurts and I know it's hard, and certainly not downplaying all of the things that go into that. But once you get past that point, it's just the world is your oyster.
Right. That's so true. You think about that expression out of the pan and into the fire. And I think a lot of
Yeah.
times when this happens with people, they want to just quickly get another job because they're stressed out about the bills, the payments, the identity piece. Like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I'm out of work. But it's like it really is important to kind of slow down a little bit and use it, as you brought up, and this is your word today, opportunity to
Yeah.
I think really see it as, what, I can take a breath and I can take a moment, and I really need to kind of revisit what it's like. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just one more point on that, while everybody still has a job, super important to have your finances in a place where you have that buffer to take that breath, having your emergency savings and kind of giving yourself that space, because it does, it's so important, and it comes in handy to like really focus in on this exploration piece before you jump into something new.
Really good point.
Yeah, just to bolt onto that just a little bit, having that plan or understanding where you are can also make it feel a little bit more like you're in control if
Yeah.
something out of the ordinary happens, right? It gives you, like you said, the freedom to take the space. And so, part of what you want to set up for yourself always is the opportunity for options.
Yeah. Yeah, so true. So we've talked a lot about the government employees. Anybody having any, experiences with AI as it relates to job loss? It's a source of fear for some people, but also it's also a lot of possibility because there's a lot of cool things that can happen in the world of AI coming in, not just losing your job, but redefining it. So I'm curious, I know, Husna, you're very embedded in technology environments. So how are your clients responding to AI's emergence in the workplace, and how are you helping them if they're really not sure how they're going to pivot?
Actually, Tiffany, coming from the kind of IT background, corporate background, I've seen a lot of dips and ups both, right? Because I started my career in IT right from the start in the year 1995. I started my career in the year 1995, 96, I would say. So with that, I've seen a lot of build up. I myself was a very techie person. Today, I do not know anything about it, truly. Because when you catch up on something else, and that leaves you behind with a lot of gap, whether you're in the industry or not. AI is taking in the world today, I would say my team is so apt into this AI. I do not know much about it. But they say, Husna, you know what? Why do you want to take so much? Don't worry about it. This is what I got. This is when I go back looking at it, I would say, did you see the spelling errors which is existing in this particular document? And do you see so many punctuation marks in that? Do you really? You send me the thing, whatever you got from Chat GPT, whatever you got. That's not how system works. What is happening to your brain? What is happening to your system? What are you adding? What value are you adding? What discipline you have in that? ChatGPT is yet a machine. It's just the language is being used by so many people. And you're just processing that. What about you? What about your knowledge? What about your skill? So for me as an individual, I feel as a leader, I would feel as much as it has its own ups, it has its own depths, because we are not using human brain, we are not using human picture, we are not using the emotional part of it. Everything, if you want to do all of that, then what is the need of going to academic school, having so much of education, spending so many hours of studies and doing so much? I'm also taking the examination once which I tried and which didn't work. All of that happened. Why would I do all of that if everything is everything on the AI world, right? So for me, I would say when I go back and interview a techie guy, right? He says, who's not coding has become a problem. Today, when I say my son, who's also an AI undergrad right now, is taking that thing. So he says, Mom, there's no field. There's nothing. A lot of people are out of jobs today because a system can do the coding by itself. So the really freshers, like interns, who are supposed to get trained, who are supposed to get like software engineers in 2 years, 3 years of experience, they don't have a job. Really don't have a job until it picks up, like, because it's automated by the whole AI system is automating the whole thing. Presentation has been made by AI. Excel sheet has been maintained by AI. You have to just feed in the data, everything generated. So what happens at low level jobs, that thing is really diminishing gradually. So then what is happening is the economy loss is there. A lot of people, their jobs. The students today do not know what else they need to pick up. If computer science is the basic, one of the major engineering factor today, where is it heading into? They do not know. So they have to blend it with something else. That they talk about data science, they talk about AI structuring. That today the people, most of the kids I see moving into aeronautics or maybe some of the fields. So that's where AI is standing into. So I believe anything which is related to machine related, one day or the other, it will just be there a pause, because it can do only so much. A machine, like for example, unless you keep on oiling that, there is a feed. When the oiling stops, the human brain comes to the lane, because that's where it creates the curiosity. That's where it takes up to the skill what we have. That's where the academics is going to take over, and that's the experience which you learn through all those years is going to take over at the end of it. I think that's where today, one more good thing about this is, when they want senior leaders in the organization, they want that senior to be leader to be having a techie, a presentational experience, management experience, plus AI experience. So that's where the world is heading into. So I strongly really want to call out people. We are all humans. Let's be humans. Let's focus on humanity first. Let the AI take a pause. Just let's build human first, because we need the jobs. The people need jobs. The people need to really reestablish themselves. Please give them the space to grow as humans. That's what I want to call out and tell for this. Whatever aspect you brought in, Susan, it's really needed. We need to be humans. We
Yeah.
need to be humans.
I think you brought up a great point about, people aren't even really sure how to prepare students going through higher ed for the world ahead because
Definitely,
nobody
definitely.
really knows. So we're
Yeah.
sort of feeling our way through it. And I think, what I can say, I think is a lot around, because we do work in this space with clients, but like around thinking about critical thinking, right? Communication skills. Like, and at the end of the day, if it's rote work that goes around, be thinking, where is the work that needs to be done, right? It can analyze or do that particular piece of things, or it can do the coding, but what other components can it do? And that's the human, right, interaction with AI that I think is so critical. And for me, I tend to look at it as a partnership, but I think there's so much uncertainty that people really kind of have to dive into it just to be aware of it, to understand what do I need to do to reskill, stay on track with it, to see
It's
how.
something related to this, going back to Ayurveda or going back to the old time, like, wherein there was the world which was really, really into that, naive into that. Like, they were already cooking raw meat, raw things, there was no fire, there was no gas, there was no gasoline, there was no gas. At those little days, the people were more healthier. The people want to go back and take those leads and say, oh, can we pick up organic raw food and make ourselves healthy? That's where it is. And they
Yeah.
go back into the Chinese medicine. Oh, these were some of the little herbs. These were the little things today. We want to bring those medicine into their life so that today they have something called that they can kill cancer. They said, oh, Korean scientists developed something that can be inserted into the bloodstream and they can cure cancer. I would say when we go back onto those old traditional things to adapt and accept to the things today with the modernization of what was happening, can we go? That AI is also going to be one day the same place. So I would say that let's be wherever we are, utilize whatever we can to the best, but don't let human brain get stagnant, get just rotten, just sitting there doing nothing.
I tell my daughter all the time, because she goes, don't tell me, mom, don't tell me the directions. I'm just gonna just let the Google Maps tell me how to get there. And I'm just like, okay, but one day the grid's going down and you're gonna have to, all your DNA is gonna be gone that teaches you how to look for landmarks and just how to intuitively navigate the environment around you. It's like, and I think it's what you're talking about, who's still like, use your brain, continue to use your
Yeah.
brain. Yeah.
I
Use
think
a human.
from an HR perspective too, it's like AI, yes, it's replaced some things, but it's also created a whole host of new jobs and
Mhm.
new ways of getting work done. And so in my mind, it's like, how can we now pivot into maybe more important work or, more high value, where it's like we're making those bigger social impacts or bigger impacts on the industry because we're not so bogged down by all of the small kind of busier work.
Yeah.
It's if we can take that administrative burden off of us, and who knows what we'll be capable of, how much space is that leaving for, again, opportunity to focus on different things.
Yeah, that's a super point. Well, do you guys mind if I shift a little bit on the topic here? Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I kind of want to move over to coaching strategies. I want to get back to the coaching piece, and talk about things that as coaches we work with our clients on that empower them to take action and essentially regain control of their future. So I think there's a couple areas. The first one I want to talk about is clarity, and I think Tiffany, you brought that up before, and I think also Debbie brought this up. So how do you work with them? What kind of coaching strategies do you leverage to help your clients get clarity during these times?
Yeah. So for me, it's really clarity starts when somebody shifts from just chasing the roles to reconnecting to themselves. It's perhaps you use some assessments or do some exploratory coaching to really understand what are their strengths? What are their values? What drives them? What tends to throw them off? What do they care most about? Maybe it's exploring things that they've always wanted to try. I think somebody brought that up earlier. It's like, how can we take alternative ideas and mix them together and create something really unique that, again, maybe you've never thought of before, but now you're in this really great position to be able to go try. And so once you start to really understand who you are and get that baseline, kind of like building the foundation of a house, you know, you can't really build the walls or the ceiling or the rooms or anything until you have that foundation really solid. So getting that to a place where you deeply understand yourself and then start to build off of that to say, okay, knowing those things, how do I align that with the type of work, the type of environment, the type of people I want to work with? You know, you're not just going out and doing the shotgun approach of here's all the jobs that are available. It's like take a step back, work through that clarity through with a coach is a fantastic way to gain that clarity, and really come up with a strategic plan of like, okay, now I can focus my efforts. You know, it doesn't feel so overwhelming. You make clearer choices, you put energy in the right spaces, you're reaching out to the right networks, the right people that can help you get from A to B and where you eventually want to end up. So, so clarity to me is, it is just, it's a step that you can't ignore and you can't just bypass it. You have to get crystal clear on what you want, who you are, and then all the other pieces will come so much easier as you work through your process.
Yeah, I think I'm a big fan of the kind of the Ben Franklin close a lot of times. You know, what is my non-negotiable and what is must-haves, you know? So I love that exercise because it really does, because personally I've used it in many different times in my life when I've had to make big changes. And I'm like, what won't I settle for? What is not going to happen? I absolutely will not do this. And what is it an absolute must-have? You know, is it shorter work days? Is it shorter hours? Or, you know, if you're looking at the job realm, it's like, you know, that I do not want to be working in an office. You know, I want to have that flexibility to be hybrid or whatever, you know. So I think those things also help get clarity. Anybody else?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think some of what you're talking about is what I would call trade-offs because we're all willing to make trade-offs at some point. So I guess to Tiffany's point, you know, foundationally, what's important? And then from there, what trade-offs am I willing to make? And there's a certain amount of understanding of what's important to you in order to be able to determine those trade-offs.
Yeah.
Yeah, sort of jockey. And they may shift from time to time. The tool that I like to use or suggest people do is something kind of like an affinity diagram, but at a minimum, is starting to like write down, just putting on a sticky or a piece of paper, like this is important to me, this is important to me, this is, and then you can put them together. This is a must-have. This is something I'm willing to trade for. This is something that is not that important to me, but would be a nice to have. And that sometimes brings clarity to what it is that would be acceptable and kind of how to go about looking for something.
Yeah. So as you go, like when you talk about exploring new possibilities, I mean, that's scary for people sometimes, you know, especially if they're, you know, they're out of their comfort zone. It's not the path they've always been in. I've been in government. I've always been in government. Maybe now I'm not going to be in government. Maybe I'm going to go on the outside and get a job with a, you know, a private company. So what do you think about that, Debbie? I mean, you know, you're talking about the possibilities and kind of the back and forth of, you know, what's negotiable, what's not. How do we get people to step outside of their comfort zone, essentially?
So change generally is just uncomfortable, right? Sometimes it's forced upon you, and so you have no choice but to get comfortable with it.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're in a position where you are kind of seeking it out. And I've had a lot of conversations recently with people who are unhappy where they are. A lot of change taking place in the organization, but feel sort of helpless or almost like a victim of their circumstance. And So we play a little game at times. And we start to think, I talk them through really putting themselves on the other side of change and in a position to be able to make a decision and determine their own path. And you can, people can sit or they can sit and take what is handed to them and continue to be a victim and think, I can't do any better. This is all I need, the benefits, I need whatever it is, whatever it is. When you start to think about putting yourself in a place to make a decision, do I take the job I have, or do I take the job that might be out there? And this is farther down the path, obviously. Uh, then you're in a position of determining your own destiny and making a decision where you're the one in the driver's seat and have control. So it's a way to wrap your head around, how do I manage that change for myself by putting yourself in a place where the change is the exciting thing.
Yeah.
It gives you the opportunity to have choices.
Susan, I'd like to add something here. Is that all right?
Sure, of course.
So when we talk about opportunities, when we talk about non-negotiable, non-trading, for me, I always tell my team, change is always a part of nature. If we really start building the resistance piece towards any change, the resistance is going to become a problem. If you really start taking that as, okay, resilience, step by step resilience, when you start building that, builds up leadership, that makes your personality more stronger. The way to challenge yourself and to challenge the outside world becomes more prominent. So as you start learning the A to Z, Z doesn't come unless you start from A. So that's, if you start resisting and start differentiating between the capital A and small a, there's a part of grammar, there's a part of anything what we use, right? If you start with the A and go through the process of A to Z, that process is going to build your resilience and it's going to bring in a lot of good stuff in you rather than really creating a resistance. And when you talk about, like, forget about the job part. When we go to high school, right, instantly, for example, we always tend to tell our children, take more AP classes, be in this club, be in that club, be in sports club, be in any kind of, for the reason it's not only SAT which determines the future to get into the university. It's also the number of clubs, the number of activities, the number of other stuff is also included besides the grades. They're doing so many things to get into Harvard. They're getting so many things to get into Stanford. They're getting so many. So that list goes on. Similarly, under the job front, I feel there is one particular department you have. Is there a possibility you can explore? That's what I tell my company people. There are 7 departments in my organization. In 7 departments, you have 7 different groups. You want to explore that? Let me know. I'm open for you to explore that opportunity because you don't get stuck in one. Similarly, one skill like AI today, we talk about getting stuck in one skill. So many AI tools exist today. We don't even know how many AI tools are existing and are available. Is there a possibility a company can come up with a framework, train the people, train them what is needed, what are the basic of their corporation, where do they stand, what is that which is coming forward to, what can we leverage that into? If there's really stand, I would go back into the banner mode saying that unless we create that loyalty, there's no royalty anywhere. So I strongly believe in that. And I think the people should start focusing on that piece rather than resistance or whatever. The opportunities exist starting if we feel that opportunity coming our way.
Yeah, that's true. And I think it kind of leads into my next question because, Cindy, you're the quiet thought person, so I wanted to invite you, like, if someone's listening today and feeling stuck, what's one small step that they can take this week to move forward?
Yeah, if you're feeling stuck, I would say aim for movement, right? Don't aim for big moves. One small step could be something this week or maybe today. Talk to one person, write down an idea, take one action. Momentum builds from motion, not perfection.
Yeah. That's profound.
Let's all just sit with that for a minute.
Yeah, I know. I just want to think about that for a minute.
One small step. Well, that's how you start a journey of 1,000 miles, right?
Right?
Indeed.
I actually have that in my office. I look at it.
I do too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
a small little drop of water will form an ocean. Unless that starts collecting, it cannot form an ocean. So we have to really start collecting that piece. So be it skill, be it your resilience, be it your resistance, anything can be really. I believe it depends on your human tendency, a tendency which comes from within you. Unless you capacitate that and create an opportunity for yourself, there's nothing. Anything is possible if you are really prepared for it. If you start thinking of the negative aspect of it, you live in that negative zone itself. You have to start challenging yourself every single step. A mom cannot be a mom because she is not prepared to become a mother. She has to go through the pregnancy phase. Difficult, easy, doesn't matter. It is all about the process. Unless she starts that, she tells herself, I'm ready for the change. I'm ready to have the baby. And come what may, I'm going to protect that because it's within me. It's a part of me. So, similarly, any skill, any talent, it starts within you. Unless you tell yourself, this is what I want to get,
Yeah,
we
but that's a
cannot
great
reach to that.
analogy. That's a great analogy. You know, first time mothers really doesn't matter what people tell you. So, you just kind of have to go through it, and figure it
Yeah.
out because it's a little
And,
different for everyone.
Mhm.
and it's hard, it's hard to reconstruct yourself, especially when you're coming from really a grieving process. If you lose a job and it wasn't your choice, you have to go through that cycle of grief and finding your identity and figuring out, where you want to go next. It takes a lot of energy to do all of those things. And so I feel like that's one of the really powerful things about coaching is inviting somebody else into that space with you who is bringing the frameworks, bringing the structure, bringing some energy to that space that can just kind of kick you into gear and help you to pivot much quicker than you might have been able to do on your own. We're not genies in a bottle. We can't make miracles happen. We're not going to fix it for you. But I think what we're all really good at is helping people to see what's within them and helping them to cultivate it into something that is just beautiful and full of possibility, and then helping with the strategy to get them to where they're trying to go. So it's it can be really hard, but it builds so much resilience for the future. Now you have the skills and you have the frameworks, you've been through the process, you'll be able to navigate anything that comes up along the way.
I think it's important for people to remember too that, in spite of maybe the job loss being done to you, you always have a choice. At the end of the day, it's your life, it's your choice, the things that you want to do. And, yes, I agree with the grieving process for sure, because especially when you've been long tenured in a role, that's so difficult to kind of redefine that. It's huge, it's monumental. A resume, or I have to go out and do this. I'm not really sure I know what I know because I've always done that. And I think it's just really helping them understand that, it's your choice what you want to do and how you do it. So,
yeah, I think even if you make the choice to switch jobs, you still probably go through some grieving because it's different, so it's kind of you're choosing that journey of rediscovery and reinvention, or you're not choosing, and then it's the catalyst for potential change for you in a good way. And who says you can't go pick up some side jobs and some things here and there just to bridge the gap? I mean, go have fun a little bit. If you're not getting that big role that you really want to get, it's like you still probably have to make money somehow, right? So maybe you go do some fun things just to enjoy life a little bit.
Absolutely. Okay, well, this has been a great conversation. And if you don't mind, I'd like to close with a little bit of a lightning round. So we're going to go around in one sentence. What's your message to anyone that's out there listening to us that's facing job loss or uncertainty today? What would you say to them? Husna, first.
Trust in God. Anything happens in this world is without his permission, nothing can happen. And take that as a challenge from God and go back and see what is there, which is most important. Be it non-negotiable, what we spoke about, be it the opportunities, what we're talking about, be it another skill which you haven't tried, anything which is in your lane, which you haven't tried at all. Tap into those little things and see what can make a difference. It's about your mindset. If you really have a growth mindset, if you really think opportunity exists, it is existing because you believe that there is a part of existence. So I would say, don't lose heart. It's hard time. People have to go to hard times to make it better, because after every verse is always better to the best. So believe in that part of change. We are all here to support you. And anytime we are, as leaders, as coaches, it's not about the money which you're going to spend on us, or not about ROIs, what you're looking forward to, but anytime you feel that you need us, we're here to support you in any terms of opportunities to growth, to mindset. So with that, please take care of yourself. Don't worry. Trust in God and trust in yourself.
That's great. Thank you. Tiffany, how about you?
So I would say that this disruption might be the clearest invitation that you've had to lead on your own terms. And really exploring, what does that mean? Taking the space to pause, to breathe, to really understand yourself and be the architect of your life. You're the CEO of your life. And so what do you need to fire? What do you need to hire? What resources do you have? You know, how do you take what you already have in your sphere of influence and use those, either whether it's a network opportunity or whether it's somebody you haven't talked to in a long time, whatever it is, how can you use the things that are already around you to figure out your path forward and really honor yourself in the process?
That's great. Thank you, Tiffany. Debbie, how about you? What would you say?
I would say some of what's already been said in a little bit of a different way. So give yourself space. Everybody needs time. It's not easy. And take the time that you need. Do something fun.
Yeah, I'm all for that.
Get out. Do something fun and or meaningful. Hopefully they could be the same thing, but give yourself that latitude and a little bit of I'll call it a party, but celebrate the things that give you joy. And then finally, just be the change. Things are changing. Maybe it wasn't your choice, but it is now.
Yeah, that's for sure. You're in charge. Cindy, you want to close it out here for us?
Sure. I think is along the same theme that I talked about earlier. Like the first step might feel small, but it can change everything.
You are powerful with your sentences. Well, I just want to say thanks to all my She Leads Collective coaching colleagues. Really, it's been a great discussion. And like I said, when we started, it's something that we have all really been talking about over the last month when we come together. And so I'm really glad we had an opportunity to be able to share our wisdom with people that may be listening to us, and for lighting the way for those who may be challenged with the loss of a job right now. And I think in closing, I'd like to remind people that, losing a job doesn't mean losing your value. And there's always a path forward, and coaching can help illuminate that path. If you're listening and you want to learn more, we want you to explore coaching support, whether it's with us or someone else. We have a QR code here that's showing that you can capture and to get in touch with us. And we would be honored to help you in any way that we can.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks
Bye-bye.
to you out there for joining us.